Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're going to really zero in on something major, a profoundly impactful event that just unfolded in the Himalayas. We're doing a deep dive into a sudden, pretty devastating natural disaster. It's already having these, knock-on effects for trade, infrastructure, and how we think about climate resilience. So the core event, July 8th, 2025, a huge flood tears through Nepal's Bhotekoshi River.
Yeah.
But this wasn't like your typical river flood. It was actually triggered way up in Tibet. A super glacial lake one sitting on a glacier suddenly catastrophically drained, and the power of that water it obliterated the Nepal-China Friendship Bridge. That's a really crucial link for the whole area. So our mission here is to unpack this, understand the immediate human cost, the damage to infrastructure, sure, but also those wider economic ripples. And importantly, what does this tell us about, the escalating climate risks and this urgent need for preparedness and cooperation across borders?
Exactly. And what's so central to understanding this, and frankly quite alarming, is the mechanism itself. It's what scientists call a glacial lake outburst flood, or GLOF. That's the key driver behind this kind of devastation. And we're seeing these GLOFs becoming, more clearly linked to the broader climate change impacts everyone's talking about.
Right, GLOS. You mentioned superglacial lake too. Maybe for listeners who've heard these terms aren't quite sure, can you quickly break down how a lake just sitting on a glacier suddenly lets loose like that? What's the trigger? Why are they so destructive?
Yeah, absolutely. So picture this meltwater forming a lake, sometimes right on the glacier's surface, or maybe it's dammed up behind a wall of, ice or loose rock and sediment, what we call a moraine. Now, these natural dams aren't engineered structures. They can be really unstable. The sudden draining happens when that dam just fails, catastrophically. It could be too much water pressure from melting, maybe a landslide into the lake, even an earthquake sometimes. And unlike, say, a concrete dam that might show cracks, these natural dams can just rupture almost without warning, releasing this huge volume of water, often mixed with ice and debris, all at once.
Wow.
That massive sudden release, that's what makes GLOS so uniquely destructive. It's not just water, it's like a wall of moving debris sometimes.
That really paints a picture. And it underscores the urgency, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So if GLOFs are the how, let's pivot to the what next. The immediate fallout from this particular flood. Beyond the Friendship Bridge being destroyed, what are the sort of immediate impacts on the ground?
Well, the human cost is just tragic. We have 9 confirmed deaths so far, and 19 people still missing. That includes 6 Chinese nationals as well.
Right.
And that trade route, the one relying on the Friendship Bridge, completely blocked, halted.
Stopped.
Yeah, which immediately forces Nepal to rely, at least temporarily, on the alternative route through India. And that creates its own set of problems like logistical jams.
Okay, so beyond that immediate bottleneck in trade, what are the sort of broader economic tremors we should be looking out for? Does this hit specific industries hard? Or maybe even the price of everyday goods in Nepal?
Oh, definitely. That Friendship Bridge wasn't just, a bridge. It was a key artery for a lot of imports into Nepal, especially from China.
Like what kind of things?
Well, everything from consumer goods, essential stuff people buy every day, to critical construction materials, and also significantly equipment for ongoing hydropower projects in Nepal.
Oh, okay. That's big.
Yeah. So switching everything to the India route, while it's necessary right now, adds significant transport time and cost. You could easily see that leading to maybe some inflationary pressure. It hits small businesses that need timely supplies. And it could even delay those vital energy projects, which impacts Nepal's longer-term economic picture.
That's a really clear example of the domino effect. And this whole incident, it just perfectly illustrates what climate experts keep warning about, doesn't it? This increasing frequency of GLOFs as glaciers melt faster due to climate change. How is this event kind of reinforcing those warnings?
It really drives it home. This particular event highlights a risk that maybe wasn't fully appreciated by everyone. Himalayan glaciers are melting really fast, significantly faster in some areas than earlier estimates suggested based on recent studies.
Faster than we thought.
In some key areas, yes. So it means we're not just getting more glacial lakes forming, we're potentially getting larger ones and ones that are more unstable. It effectively makes parts of the Himalayas, you could say, sort of a ticking time bomb for potential GLOFs. This isn't some abstract future threat. It's happening right now. It demands, immediate coordinated action.
Which leads directly to that need for preparedness and cooperation you mentioned earlier. What does this specific flood tell us about how ready these countries actually are to work together across borders, especially given the, let's say, complex relationship between Nepal, China, and India? Are we seeing actual coordinated action or just talks?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And yeah, the geopolitics are definitely part of the picture. Look, there are frameworks for cooperation on paper,
Right.
but the real challenge is making them work in practice, getting genuine, real-time information flowing across these sensitive borders, coordinating a rapid response effectively. This event just throws a spotlight on the urgent need for things like joint early warning systems that actually function seamlessly, shared communication protocols that don't get bogged down in bureaucracy, maybe even thinking about pre-positioning emergency supplies that either side could access in a crisis, kind of setting aside the usual border security thinking for a moment. It forces a difficult conversation about shared vulnerability.
Yeah, that vulnerability. It's stark, seeing how easily critical infrastructure like that bridge just vanished. It's a sobering thought, not just for trade, but for, people's homes, those vital hydropower plants you mentioned. I even read about electric vehicles stranded, waiting for customs clearance, caught up in the flood zone. It's bizarre. But amidst all that destruction, there were also some incredible stories of human resilience, weren't there?
Absolutely. You have to remember that. Amidst the tragedy, the rescue efforts have been pretty remarkable. Over 150 people rescued.
Wow, 150.
Yeah, many by helicopter, military planes dealing with incredibly difficult terrain. You hear accounts of local crews, the military, working nonstop. Prime Minister Ali's officials were even on site quickly, assessing things firsthand. It shows that immediate boots-on-the-ground response.
This really has been quite the deep dive. And hearing about the ongoing monitoring, too, satellite work by organizations like ISOMOD.
That's the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, a key player.
Right, them and Nepal's own hydrology department. It shows there's a real effort underway to try and understand these glacial flood risks better.
Definitely. The science is racing to keep up, essentially. Which brings us to, I think, a really important question for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. When you consider the scientific warnings we've talked about, the fragility of this vital infrastructure, the complex web of geopolitics, what does this one devastating event in Nepal really tell you about how interconnected climate, politics, and human resilience truly are in the Himalayas right now? And maybe more importantly, what kind of responsibilities does that interconnectedness imply for nations, for the global community?
That is a powerful question to end on, really connecting those dots. Geology, politics, our shared future. I found the details on just how destructive a GLOF can be really eye-opening. And the scale of that rescue effort you mentioned, 150 people, that's just, well, it's inspiring in a way, amidst the loss. This event in Nepal truly sheds light on so many of our shared vulnerabilities, and maybe our collective responsibilities too. It's a stark reminder of the forces at play in our changing world, and that complex dance between nations. We hope this deep dive has given you food for thought, maybe prompted you to explore these connections further. Thanks so much for joining us.